folks, it's Dane. Customer, I built a Les Paul for the same guy quite a few years back, and he wanted me to match the neck. I did a laminated neck on his 59 copy, so the body and the stuff that went with the body was kind of the copy, but this was totally portrait, having a laminated neck, and he wanted the same laminated neck on the SG. I'm just showing the grain right now. This grain here is pretty straight, so it probably won't be too big an issue in the cutter here coming into that. I don't have a ton to take off. The other side, however, has the grain running right off the edge, and that's into the cut. This is the type of bearing bit that I could raise this and run a lower bearing from the bottom, but because the peg head is holding me up here, that's not going to work. So I'm just going to have to do it the same direction on flat on the table. A couple other things I'll mention right now, which aren't necessarily related to this, but they are. So you can see that I have my neck is a full thickness blank here. It's because I have a flat fretboard. I like to do that flat. I like it to be solid. And then when I'm also going to do binding, so I'll be running a binding channel on this as well. I won't radius this until after the binding is on, and then I will put the inlay in into the radius board and then the frets. But I will not change any of this back profile until all of the work on top is done. I like the stability when I'm in the pressing frets in. It just works. It works really well for me. Let's go with this. On this one edge that's likely to chip out, I'm going to put a piece of masking tape on that. All right, here we go. All right, I didn't get any chipping on either side of that. It came out very clean. Oh, another thing I like to do is I like to go ahead and route my neck taper in, and then I just trace and cut my fretboard to that, and it works as a template right on there. So I see people do it the other way, and it does, you know, as long as the results are the same. Some people like to get their fretboard all sized and even bound, and then put it on the neck that's over with, and then use the fretboard as the template. Either way works. This is just the way I do it. I'll go ahead and video how this Jessam router lift works. Probably did a video on this when I put it together originally, or maybe not. This is one of those infinity bits. Has a bearing on the top and the bottom, so that you can run it either off the top or the bottom bearing, and depending on which way the grain's running, you are always running away from the grain when you cut. It's very handy. I actually have to figure out what I'm using that extra collet thing in there to size this down to 1/4. I actually have to take some time and figure out what how deep my channel needs to be for this binding I'm using. And you set this up with the cutter and the appropriate size bearing to give you the offset you need for the binding. So I'm going to shut you off while I figure that out. Okay, I think I got a cutter and a bearing that's close. That looks pretty good. Nah, maybe it's a little long. I'm going to do a test cut and then we'll see. That might be a little too heavy. This looks like a pretty thin binding here. Yeah, that's definitely a little too heavy. I'll change the bearing to a little bit bigger bearing. All right, that one's perfect. So here we go. I do need to do my height. I don't know what I was thinking about. Oh, where did that one come out at? It's probably about right. I'll bring it up about I'm doing is I'm using that little notch right there and I'm putting it on the fretboard to see where it's lining up on the neck. That looks pretty good to me. It could still come up just a fuzz, but there's no reason not to go in a little deeper. You can see what's going on here, and we're going to have the radius on the edge of the fretboard. Yeah, I'm going to bring it up just another little notch. Okay, I'm exactly where I want to be. Alright, that works out really nicely. A little deeper than I needed to be, but that shouldn't make any difference. So now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that you can also come up higher on the fretboard, like the rosewood here in this case, and leave a little line of the rosewood showing under the binding. So then you basically have binding, and then you have a line of this darker color, and then you have your neck color. So that's a cool detail. I did that on the Highway 66 Stratocaster. Anyway, it's a cool look. So I had the dark fretboard with a lighter binding on it, and then with the maple neck. So you had that dark line. It looks cool. Anyway, just another way to do stuff. You know, I think I will just go ahead and radius this first. That way I can make sure that my slots are low enough. Make sure my slots are low enough after I get the radius on this before I do the binding. Then the binding will trim off easily. So that's not an issue. Anyway, that's it. Kind of radius it, then bind it. And I also do the end here. I've seen people not do the end. It's kind of goofy looking. Even if you are putting a pickup right up against it. In this case, we're not. But yeah, so, all right, that's it. I hope that helped. Thanks for watching.